Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Bryce with BIS Media, and today I'm here to go over the LG UBK80's all features and settings. And in this video, we're going to just kind of go through all the different features that it does have and all the settings. And here we're looking at the home menu of the player itself. And there's only 4 options on the home menu. It's pretty bare bones for the most part with this player, so it's nothing too complicated. If that's something you're kind of scared of, if there's too many settings, this player is not going to have that. So the 4 settings it does have on the very front here is movie, photo, music, and settings. And if you go through these first 3, it has all the same options. So I'm just going to show you first one being the movie. So if I click on that, it shows up top, it says Smart Share, None. Then it has movie that's been selected. So if I click on the None here, it shows there's 3 different link device list to choose from. So you can do a disc. So if you hit a disc again, you could pull up that movie or some music if it's a CD. You can also read files from a USB drive, or a hard drive should also work as well. And there's also MTP, which is, I believe, stands for the Media Transfer Protocol. And that way you can actually connect your phone via the USB drive. And then you should be able to read files that way as well. I'm not sure if that would work with movies and everything. It says it does. I know sometimes when it comes to reading movies, it's a little back and forth on whether it'll work or not, or if it could read all the necessary files with that. So that's something that will need to be tested out beforehand if you just have tons of movies like on your phone or like on a hard drive. I know it always comes down to the player itself, whether it's going to be able to recognize all those formats, like if you're worried about if it's going to read Dolby Atmos, Dolby Vision, all those different types of things. And this player does not actually read Dolby Vision, so it's already marked out of the question. But sometimes when it comes to USB files, it cannot read all the formats that the file itself already has, so definitely keep that in mind. Then we're going to move over to the settings. So if we look at just the settings here, it has 2 things in the drop down. So there's the network and language. So if you click on network, the only way you can actually connect to the internet with this is through the Ethernet cable. Does not have Wi-Fi at all, so if you click start, then it's going to start looking for it. I don't have an Ethernet cable connected to it, so it's not going to work. If you click on advanced setting, it just shows, again, you need to collect a LAN cable, Ethernet cable, try again. Can't find it. And then if you click on language, this one you can just choose some of the different languages the player does have to offer, so it has those. But if I click on the actual settings itself, this is when you can actually see all the settings that this player does have to offer. So if you click on network here, click on the connection setting, again, it just brings up that you need an Ethernet cable. It does not have anything connected right now. Connection status just tells you if you are connected. Obviously, I don't have anything connected, so that shows there's nothing. There's just a whole bunch of X's. Otherwise, it should have some green checks showing that it is able to connect to the network for you. And then there is the BD Live connection. So it says the restrictions for internet connections when Blu-ray disc live is used. It shows it's partially permitted. You can use permitted or prohibited. I know some people use this. I've never personally used the Blu-ray disc live connection. I mean, I always have it on, I should say, but I don't think I've ever actually used it whenever watching a movie. I don't really care about those things. I just want to make sure that the movie looks good and I'm able to watch it. But if you care about that, that's where those settings are for that. And then the display, you can choose the TV aspect ratio. So you can do 16:9 original, 16:9 full, so it does make sure it stretches that image out. 4:3 pan scan, which is actually not able to be selected. If you have an older TV, it might let you, but these are just instantly grayed out for me. I can't even select those. And then the resolution is auto. So you can have it automatically push out 4K every time, 480p, 720, 1080i, 1080p, and then again 4K. Mine automatically goes to 4K. I would always just keep that auto unless you want to downplay it, or you know that you can only get up to 1080p. Maybe you still have an older TV and you just want to make sure it shows 1080p. It should be able to automatically read it, but that's just something you can put on there if you want to. Display mode just shows 60 hertz. You can dumb it down to 24 hertz if you want to. HDMI color setting, you can do YCB CR, RGB, do whichever way you want to do. It does have 3D mode, so it does automatically have that turned on. Guess you can't turn it off for some reason if you wanted to. I'm not really sure why that was grayed out. In the home menu guide, turn it off or on if you want to have that turned off. And then moving on to the language. So this when you just do the display menu is in English. You could choose some different languages if you'd like to. Disc menu is the original one that's been selected. Again, you could choose different languages. The disc audio, again, same thing. You can just choose what language you want. If you want it to be different, you could do that. And then the disc subtitle, you can tell it what subtitles you want. You don't really need to have that turned on here because every Blu-ray that I've seen usually has the subtitles that you want, unless there's a completely different language maybe out there. That's not just from the usual, Spanish, French, English. I know some discs don't have all the different languages on there, so this is another option just in case. And then audio here, we have digital output is set to auto. You can have PCM or DTS re-encode. Just keep mine at audio. If you're having this hooked up to surround sound, then you might want to choose one or the other, or if you have it switched over to a soundbar, that's something else to keep in mind. And the sampling frequency is set to 48 kilohertz. You can switch it to 96 or 192. And the DRC, it prevents the sudden volume increase of the sound. Mine is just set to auto. Turn it just completely on or off, so that way there's not different levels of audio whenever you're watching something. Maybe especially like at nighttime, if you don't want something just all of a sudden just blaring super loud and then getting real quiet and then back and forth. This will help even out that sound a little bit. And then the lock, you can put a password in here if you want to. Put a new password and you verify it. Maybe if you have a kid or something that you're giving this to, this might be a good way to do that. DVD rating, again, if you put in your password and you verify it, you can change the password for that, or you can make it where there has to be only movies that are PG, your PG-13 at max, something like that. You can do that as well. Blu-ray disc rating. That's the disc rating for the viewers. 255 years. It's just me. Everyone's going to be old enough to watch whatever they want to. Again, you can switch that over if you want to. And then the area code, just US. So it says the country code according to the country which manufactured the disc. So it looks like you can actually change regions if you want to. I'm not sure with this player, but I know with most players, you can only do this a certain amount of times before it actually locks completely. So I'd be careful switching that over, because if it gets switched over to a region B and you live in region A like myself in the US and it gets locked, then you're going to be screwed over because you're not going to be able to switch it back eventually. This may not be the case with this player, but I'm just saying with other ones, from what I've seen, you switch this over too many times, it will lock, and then you're going to be in trouble and not be able to play your disc. So I would look into this before switching this over back and forth, back and forth. And then last but not least is the others. So this says auto power off. Power will be turned off automatically after 15 minutes of inactivity. You can turn this off or on. I'm not really sure how well that actually works, because I've actually paused some movies, I'm pretty sure, for longer than 15 minutes and it did not turn off. So I'm not really sure if it's just sitting on the home menu here, you don't mess with anything, that's going to turn off. I don't think so whenever it's paused the disc, at least not from what I've seen, because I'm pretty sure I've had it paused for a lot longer than that and it didn't turn off. So something to keep in mind there. Initialize, so this would actually factory reset everything or clear the Blu-ray storage clear if you want to. Take a look at the software, look at the information, OSS notice, and the update. I mean, you can update it if need be. And then closed captions, sets the display format of closed captions. So this is also really neat, so you can turn it on and then you can just tell it what type you want. Now, it looks like it doesn't show it on the screen, which isn't the most helpful. It should have some kind of example, but at least you can go through there and you can actually pick how you want it to look, so that's really nice. And then you can view the user agreements if you want, and then audio guidance if that's easier for you to be able to select all the different menus, because you're not able to see them as well. You can actually have audio guidance, so it actually tells you what's being selected on the screen. You can turn it on, tell it what speed, volume, and what pitch playback. So it's pretty nice to have that option as well. And that is actually all the settings besides one last thing, which I'll show you guys. And let me pop in a disk and we'll look at those very last settings. Alright guys, so we have the menu for the 2018 Tomb Raider. And so what I'm going to do is actually click the little info button here on the remote. And if I go to option, this is when you can see those last options over here on the left. So this will actually tell you title, show you all the different titles. I'll show you what chapter you're on, the time, like the actual play time that it's actually going right now, because this does not have a digital readout on the front of this player, so you can actually see it here. Shows you what the audio is, so you can't actually go in here and actually click anything. From what I've seen whenever you're actually playing it, you can just see that information. This shows 2-channel right now, just stereo. Then you can see English, so the subtitle. This is when you can turn it on here. You can choose those different options. And then you can actually see what angle, which the angle actually is, I've never seen it actually switch anything before either. That's kind of cool if you were able to switch the different angles here. Then you can do 16:9 original, 16:9 full. You can switch back between those two, because on my TV, I cannot switch over to the 4:3 unless I manually do it with the TV remote. So you can actually switch to there. You can switch over the picture mode. So if I click on the picture mode, I have standard, vivid, movie, and user settings. So if I click user settings, then you can actually go in here and kind of tinker with the contrast. I can tinker with the brightness, make it really bright. Color, I can make the colors pop a little more. I can mess with the sharpness, make it look really sharp. So it's nice you're able to actually see all these different options, and there's not still a whole lot going on with this player as far as that goes. So there's not a lot of tinkering that you could really do, but it is really nice that you're able to access all these different things here. So I think that is great that you're able to at least switch a little bit of different things. But yeah, if you're looking for something too complicated, this player is not going to be it. It's not going to have a lot of tinkering, basically just bare bones for the most part. You can play disc, does not do any kind of streaming features at all. You can only do Ethernet. Internet capability, does not have an internet browser, so these are things to keep in mind if you're looking at this player. You can check out my full review in the description, pinned comment, and I will also have a link in the top right corner, so that way you guys can click on it and you guys can watch that video if you want to see the full review and my thoughts on this player. But yeah guys, that is all the settings and the features for this LG UBK80 4K Ultra HD player. Let me know down in the comments what you think of these settings. Is this really a deal breaker to not have a lot of settings? Do you prefer it? Is it a bummer that it doesn't have streaming services, which I know streaming services on 4K players, which I've detailed in the past, are usually hit or miss whether they're good or not. I know most people have smart TVs and they don't really care, so definitely want to hear your thoughts. So smash that like button if this was helpful for you. Hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for my future videos. With that being said, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.